All right, good morning, those of you that are already on here. Thanks for being on time. I'm going to quickly take attendance here while people are still getting on, and then we will go from there. We made it to Friday. Felt like a long week after having last week off. All right, well, I've got everyone here so far. I see that don't have Jordan, don't have Tim yet. Kanan Turner is not here. And Armani is here. Armani, did you send me your stuff for to present today?
Yes, I did.
Okay, thanks. What did you share with me on my email?
I think so.
Okay, perfect. I think I remember seeing it. I just have gotten like 400 emails in the last 24 hours. So, perfect. Looks good. All right, so you're gonna lead us off this morning, okay?
Okay.
Just because I'm kind of waiting on these other people to get in, and I don't want to. I would rather prefer not to waste a bunch of people's time if possible, you know. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up your project here and get it on the screen, and you give me the thumbs up. That's what you want, and we'll move forward.
Okay.
All right, Amani, is this in fact project?
Yes.
All right, perfect. Everybody out there, make sure that you are listening. I don't care if your video's on. I'm not one of the video police. I'm in the school, but I do want you to participate. Okay, at the end, obviously there'll be questions. It's your job to respond to one of the three questions for each presentation today, for a very easy grade of 10 points, either all or nothing. So make sure that you are here the whole time participating. Okay. All right, Armani. I'm gonna press the present button, and you are ready to go.
Okay. My project is on the Amazon fires. Okay. So a summary of the topic is: it started in Brazil. It was caused by people mining, logging, agriculture, and farmers using slash and burn techniques. And this started deforestation, which caused the fires. And so far, there have been over 9,500 fires since August 15th, 2020. What's happening now is there have been fires all year round, and the fires have caused respiratory problems, mainly in children, dry soil, biodiversity loss, and climate change. And they have spread to Bolivia, Peru, Paraguay, and Colombia.
What are these pictures of? Can you tell us?
Um, the first picture is just of one of the fires. The second picture is the respiratory system, and the third picture is where the fires have spreaded.
Wow. Thanks.
Jarring photos and videos of the flames tearing through the Amazon have caught the world.
Armani, can you tell us real quick what we're about to watch?
It's just the video about how the fires started and how they're impacting the world, but mostly South America.
Okay, thanks.
Attention. Scientists using NASA satellites to track the fires say 2019 is shaping up to be the Brazilian Amazon's worst fire since 2010. The main consensus? The fires were caused by human activity.
It's not a natural accident. People set fire to just, reduce cover to get new forage for cattle grazing, on pastures. They might take advantage of the dry season to clear woody, shrubby cover that is encroaching on their land.
That's Matt Henson, a professor at the University of Maryland who has studied the satellite images of the fires. He's in Brazil now. The images show the fires are burning on farmland where forests were already cleared for agriculture. Most of the fires were likely set by people preparing the land for planting, a common practice in agriculture that happens every year. Most years, some of those fires spread to unintended areas, and some years are worse than others. So what's different this time around? Why are we paying attention to the fires? Henson believes the smoke traveling south in the atmosphere into Sao Paulo, the commercial hub of Brazil, played a major role.
And on the descent, you saw this really clear aerosol line in the atmosphere, this really clear layer of smoke. And that freaks people out. It just landed in Sao Paulo.
Combine that with social media and celebrities chiming in, and you had the perfect storm. This isn't the first time Brazil has suffered dramatic forest fires. 2015 and 2016 were particularly bad years with the warming of El Nino, when droughts allowed the fires to spread quickly. But whether or not people are paying attention, it raises important questions about deforestation. Although locals say farming is an important part of their economic prosperity, Brazil has been applauded by the international community for slowing down deforestation in the early 2000s. But in the last decade, Brazil has been backsliding in terms of limiting deforestation. Large areas of land are cleared for cattle farming and to grow cattle feed like soybean. Meat production today is nearly 5 times higher than it was in the early 1960s. The consequence of this is an increase in deforestation, not only in Brazil, but around the world.
To date, it looks like kind of the economic incentive always wins against the forest. The forest is continually shrunk and fragmented.
Beef, soy, palm oil, and wood products drive the majority of tropical deforestation. Forests, especially tropical forests, store an enormous amount of carbon. When forests are destroyed, that carbon is released to the atmosphere, accelerating global warming.
You have to respect sovereignty. You have to respect economic development. But we understand in our modern age the balance between the services that the environment provides, like regulating climate and harboring biodiversity and all these things, versus economic development. So the idea that there should be a bit of structure and much more organized, disciplined approach to development, I think, is perfectly reasonable.
While there are some arguments about which year has seen the worst forest fires, one thing is clear: the Amazon is burning, and at least for the time being, the world is paying attention. Thanks for watching Global News. If you like what you
Armani, we're going to
jarring photos and
sorry about that. I think I just gotta do this, and then there you go. Go ahead, walk us through your discussion questions.
The first one is, do you think the Amazon fires will spread to the United States? The second one is, what do you think is a good solution for the fires? And the third is, what would you do if the fires were in America?
All right, so this is a interesting set of questions here, and the concept is interesting because some of the reason why they let these fires burn is so that they can have farms in Brazil to make more corn and soybeans to make more feed for the animals that they and make more food, make more money. Go ahead and answer one of these three. I've got 18 participants, so I would expect to see 18 answers here. And Armani, thank you. Let's give Armani a round of applause virtually here. Good job. Thank you. And go ahead and, like I said, take a second to respond, please. All right, so some interesting ideas here. I would like to address Ian's perspective because I agree. And I think if we are really enlightened people who have lived through many renaissances and industrial revolutions, we certainly can figure out how to make food without having to have to deforest one of the most important ecosystems in the world. Until we can figure that out, or until we can influence Brazil to recognize that they can make money and be players in the global economy without destroying one of the most, like I said, important resources in the world, we're going to have problems. So this was a very interesting presentation. Hopefully you got your chat in. And I mean, you guys who say you would leave America, I mean, I don't. It's easier to say that than actually do it. I mean, obviously, right now we're living in a global pandemic. We're not allowed to go very many places, anyways. So, would be difficult to get fires all the way across Central America and Mexico here. But we could have this problem. Let's say if it happened in Kansas or South Dakota or some of the drier states that farm quite a bit. Okay. Thank you again, Armani. We're going to go ahead and I'm going to stop this and we're going to get Tim. Tim, you're up next.
All right.
You shared it with me the other day, correct?
I don't think I shared it with you yet. I can right now though.
Can you do it right now, please?
Yeah.
Tim with 3 M's.
I just shared it with you.
Beautiful day. Okay. Oh. Yeah, I got it. Okay. All right, so we're moving on. We got the legalization of marijuana, also somewhat controversial topic here. Tim, is that your project?
Yeah.
All right. Lead us.
So obviously my project is legalization of marijuana. And what is marijuana? Cannabis/marijuana is mostly smoked or consumed As a psychoactive, mind-altering drug, this drug makes you feel relaxed and release stress. It's mostly smoked or inhaled, or it can be made into a food. And this picture is just like showing what everything is on the plant. Some background info on marijuana. How did it come about? The Spanish brought marijuana to Central and South America in the 1500s. How long has it been an issue? Since the 1500s, when it was discovered by the Spanish. Is this in one place or many? Marijuana is a nationwide drug. Will this topic change? I think that it will, because like over time, there are already other states that have legalized marijuana. And what is currently happening with my topic, laws are being passed down for people not to go to jail for like small ounces of amounts of marijuana. I think it's like if you have like under an ounce, you can't be charged. And what has recently changed, the stocks are rising for marijuana and could continue to rise if more states legalize. What does consuming it cause? It's known as mind altering, or as most people call it, getting high. The drug makes you feel less tense, and a lot of people use marijuana to help them sleep. A lot of people use marijuana as a coping method because of the way it makes them feel. Doctors have prescribed marijuana to cancer patients and with mental health illness such as PTSD. This is like a little map on showing you where it's legal and where it's illegal, where they use it for medical stuff. So, yeah.
So the gray states are fully legal. Or wait,
The gray state
illegal.
illegal.
Fully legal. And the light green is decriminalized, so Indiana is decriminalized.
Yeah.
Some, but not totally. Okay.
This is my video.
What's it about?
It's just like what would happen if marijuana, like
23 states and the district
like the pros and cons.
Okay.
of Columbia have legalized or decriminalized marijuana. 2 states, Washington and Colorado, have made it legal for recreational use, which is the ultimate goal for groups trying to fully legalize weed. Colorado did this more than 8 months ago, and the numbers are in, so we can finally look at some of the effects of legalizing weed. First off, let's look at the givens. Legalizing weed adds tax revenue. That's obvious. Colorado expects a $98 million jump in tax revenue from weed sales this year alone. Legalizing weed also adds jobs. It's estimated by the Marijuana Industry Group that about 10,000 people now work in the weed industry in Colorado, nearly 2,000 of which started in the first half of this year. Most were already working in Colorado's medical marijuana industry prior to 2014. And the weed industry only accounts for about 0.04% of Colorado's workforce. So those numbers shouldn't be overblown, but sales are good and further job growth is expected. Those are the things that we know for sure, and they have a direct causal relationship to the change in the law. But there are also things that we can't directly tie to law. These have a corollary relationship, but are still worth mentioning as they may allay some fears. Anti-legalization groups feared that legalizing recreational weed would lead to an increase in driving fatalities. There is no direct evidence of that. In fact, the number of driving fatalities were down in the first half of 2014. They also feared there would be an increase in hard drug use. Again, people are actually using less hard drugs now than they were 10 years ago. They feared that more high school-aged kids would be smoking weed. Again, no. And they feared that there would be a spike in violent crime and crime in general. There hasn't been. The crime rate is actually trending down. So does that mean weed makes our highways and schools and streets safer? No. Like I said, there's no direct connection between legalizing recreational marijuana and any of these statistics. So are there any proven negatives to come out of these first 8 months? Yes. Sort of, not really. There is some anecdotal evidence that the general public isn't quite ready for edible marijuana. One man ate edible marijuana and then shot his wife. Another man ate edible marijuana and then fell off a balcony. The police think that marijuana played a role in both incidents. And the number of children who have been admitted to Children's Hospital of Colorado in Aurora due to consumption of marijuana in the first 6 months of the year is already more than all of last year. Again, this evidence is largely anecdotal, but it has been enough for the state to start looking at its THC limits and labeling requirements for edible goods. On the whole, the experiment appears to be a success, but we won't know for sure until it has been in practice for many more years. If you like this and you want to learn more stuff,
Oops. Tim, I'll go back to that 1 second here.
All right.
Give me let me reshare that. Sorry. So that video was pretty old in a sense that was just talking about the first few months that Colorado had legalized it. Go ahead and go through your questions.
All right. Given the information provided, do you think marijuana should be legalized? And from a health perspective, if consumers took the amount prescribed to them, do you think it would help them? For example, of consumers being like cancer patients or mental health illness. If consumers took the prescribed amount, would the economy/stocks make a good profit? And what do you think would happen if cannabis was legal everywhere and there were no limits on the amount consumed?
All right. These are interesting questions to think about here. Go ahead and put your answer in the chat function, please. I like what Zariah said. I think one of the issues with making marijuana legal is the driving piece of it. My sister's a doctor, and we've talked about it a couple of times. And until they can figure out how to test for how much THC you have in your blood and do it quickly, I think it's going to be difficult for more conservative states like Indiana, where we live, to legalize it, just because, if you get into a car accident or if you fall asleep at the wheel or something and you've consumed weed or smoked it, had an edible, etc. How do you test for that? All right, let's Tim, you did a nice job putting all that together. Thank you, Tim. Give you the virtual round of applause there. All right. Make sure you put your response in here. You can read through what other people say here if you're curious. And we got Tim, we got Armani. Kanan, you're gonna be up next, all right? You out there?
Yeah.
All right. Let me pull it up real quick. All right. So when I share this, Kanan, I want you to tell me if this is your project. Make sure this is what you want. Is this right?
Yep.
All right, perfect. So we're gonna keep going just to again respect everyone's time. So get as much done as we can, or else we're gonna fall behind even more. So you got it.
So this is food insecurity due to COVID-19. Yeah. So background information, food insecurity is when a household cannot maintain a constant and sustainable food pattern. It's not new, like it's been around for a long time, but COVID has made it worse for a variety of reasons. And from the year 2019 in America alone, there are more than 35 million food insecure households. And with COVID, that number has jumped to 54 million. In the current status, food insecurity is happening all over the world. And with a lot more unemployment due to COVID, it has caused more people to be food insecure. Strain is being put on food banks because there is increased demand with less volunteers. So for the future, more schools will probably start handing out lunch and stuff, since they usually can't when school is not in person, to help, and food banks will probably start getting more volunteers and donations. So the video, it's just what food insecurity is and how you can help to get rid of it or slow it down, basically.
Okay. You want me to fast forward?
I'm going to bring in Pouch editor Keenan Draw.
That's where you wanted to start, right?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Keenan, thank you for joining us. Food insecurity is obviously not a new problem in the United States, but tell our viewers a little bit more about how COVID has really made this issue so much worse.
Yeah, like you said, this has definitely been a big issue here in America for some time, but especially with, the coronavirus and lost wages, higher unemployment, it really kind of shot up. I think Feeding America also said that as many as 17 million more people have been affected this year by food insecurity than last year. So that's kind of why we kind of wanted to do this partnership with Feeding America at Patch, to kind of shine a light on that. One of the stories I was actually able to do, I went to the North Hollywood Food Pantry, and they told me that they had a 43% increase in need since the start of the pandemic. So just kind of talking to, all the people that, especially this year, having trouble finding food and, needed a place to go.
A growing number of children, as you mentioned, are experiencing food insecurity. The nonprofit that you work with, Feeding America, suggests 18 million could be impacted this year. I want you to talk a little bit more in depth about how school closures and state lockdowns have been playing a role in this increase.
Yeah, well, something that's really interesting is we had actually made a lot of progress in terms of addressing food insecurity in children before the pandemic started. I believe that the Department of Agriculture said that we are at our lowest level since 1998 until this pandemic started. But of course, school closures, people not being able to get their lunch at school definitely had a big impact on that. And especially, obviously there's health problems that can kind of happen from not getting healthy food and not having reliable sources of food. But studies have also shown that school performance can suffer, behavioral issues can start. So there are kind of a whole lot of interconnected ways that, children really can suffer from not having that stable food source.
And Keenan, what does the data look like when it's broken down by race? We know that food insecurity is something that can affect everyone in this country, but it's important, particularly as the pandemic has disproportionately affected people of color, to really ask that question about race and how much food insecurity is disproportionately bared by certain groups.
Yeah, it's a really good point. Like you said, there's been a whole lot of studies that have shown that, the coronavirus has impacted Black and Brown communities at higher rates, than non-communities of color. I think there's a lot of reasons for that, of course, like I said earlier, lost wages, higher unemployment. But I think one of the really interesting things that kind of can be overlooked is food deserts. That's kind of when a community or maybe a household lives over a mile away from a supermarket. So especially if you live far from a grocery store and you don't have a car, like just getting to the store is a whole other issue. And there's studies that show that, communities that don't have, a good supermarket within close range, people don't eat as healthily. And if they move from that neighborhood into a better neighborhood with more access to food, their body mass index will improve, and just a whole lot of other health issues will get better. So I think that's a really, really important reason why this is happening and what something needs to be addressed.
Well, I like to be solution oriented whenever it's possible. So Keenan, I'm hoping you can tell us what are some short and long-term solutions to this issue? How can federal, local government step in to help? But then also how can all of us contribute?
Yeah, I definitely want to be solution oriented to kind of fix this. I think in terms of the government response, kind of addressing those food deserts, making sure that those grocery stores are available to all people in America, despite income or whatever it is. I think that's a really, really big part of fixing this issue. In terms of what, other people that aren't in those positions can do, I think volunteering, kind of going back to the food pantry that I talked to, a lot of their volunteers were a lot older and in that higher risk area for COVID. So when the pandemic started, they lost almost all of their volunteers. So they had to not only feed more people, but they had to find people to distribute that food, So volunteering, if you're able to do that, if you're not able to volunteer, donating food, even just donating money, trying to find maybe a community fridge nearby that needs produce or fruit or whatever that may be. But just trying to keep it very, very local and just look at your own community, because one of the things about this is it's all over America. So probably someone next door, someone, in your area needs your help. So doing whatever you can will go a long way.
All right, Keenan Drawhorn, thank you for joining us. I'm going to bring in Patch editor Keenan.
All right, go ahead and walk us through the questions here.
So discussion questions. How do you predict food insecurity will change in the future? 2, do you think that current reforms will make any progress? And 3, what do you think you can do to help people who are food insecure?
Hey, would you mind if I added a fourth question?
No.
Just to benefit our own community. My fourth question would be, have you heard about the North Central Food Drive? And if you have the means to participate, do you think you would be willing to or will? This is an important topic right now, Kanan. I'm glad that you did this, because we're trying to help local food banks in North Central by either donating food or volunteering, like the video said. Personally, I think I'm going to get involved just because I can't imagine just not having anything to eat, especially right now where you can't just walk a couple miles down the road to get any food. I mean, it's too cold outside, etc. Public transportation is pretty wretched in our city. So, yeah.
And there's a pandemic going on.
Yes. So, Ethan, you said no, I have not, but certainly can. So, I know it was sent out on Parent Square by Mr. Brannigan. So, if you want to get involved, it would be you can. There's the opportunity there if you want to look it up. I think it's also on the main webpage, North Central, nchs.cc. All right, round of applause here for Kanan. Thank you. We got a lot of people that still need to respond here. Again, I just print these off, or I can just go back and look at them and check it off, and then you get participation points. I don't see a Jordan Bullock on here. I might check again. I don't see Kamira McDonald on here. Zoe, did you send me your project? She bounced. Nate, Amos, do you have your project done? Okay. Maritza, I think you're out there. Are you ready to present? Somehow she disappeared as well. Chris Gill, do you have your project done?
No, I don't.
Okay. Everyone who I'm saying needs to get it done eventually here. All right. What I'm going to do here is I want to look up, while I've still got you on here, I want to look up the food bank. I guess first off, if you need school meals, can you all see this page? Ethan, can you see this page?
Yes.
Okay, so if you're at home and you're hungry, you're not able to have food for your family, the school is still providing food, and I know buses are driving it around. So get on that list, okay? Secondly, trying to figure out where the information is. It might be on my email. Hold on. About food insecurity. I like I said, I really, if people can get involved or have the resources, now would be a good time. Well, I think they did it before. I want to say they did it before Thanksgiving break. Getting closer here. All right, I'll tell you what. Oh, here we go. All right, so we used to run a big canned food drive. I'm gonna reshare here real quick to my email inbox. Take a look at this. So we used to have this canned food drive that was a really big deal at school, and in this class it'd be period 1. What we would do is we would collect like things for a shelter. So we would collect toothpaste, sometimes canned foods, different things that could be used. And you can see in the statistics here, 50% increase in visits from Hoosiers needing food, 70,000 households per week. So if you want to get involved, on my screen right here, you can see these are some of the food pantries that we donated to. I personally donated to the Northside Food Pantry. But you can also give money if or for purchase items and take them there. So just something to think about. Again, giving back a little bit at this time of the year, because we usually do a canned food drive in my first period class. So all right, I'll let you guys get off Zoom. Thanks for participating. I hope everybody is safe. Have a great weekend, and encourage your other peers to show up for class, as we still have one more week to go before finals. I will have everything ready to explain to you how finals is going to work on Monday, but essentially it'll be over the Mongols and China during the Middle Ages, the West African kingdoms, which you already have those questions on the computer to practice, and then the Renaissance, and then next week the Reformation will be on the final, and then a few questions from earlier in the semester, like bigger idea questions, not like vocab words. Okay. It shouldn't be too challenging. I understand that we're in a pandemic, so it's not going to be the 90 question test I used to give. All right. Have a good weekend, folks. Be safe. Take care.
Mr. Burnett, did you see what I text you?
Texted me like on Remind?
No, on here. It was a private message.
Oh, I didn't. Sorry. I there's so many on here. I'm going through it right now. No, I didn't. Can you say it again? Or can you?
I said that Francesca wasn't going to be here because.
Oh, yeah, I got that. Yeah, I'm counting her present. No worries.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for letting me know. Have a good weekend.
Bye.
Bye.